Hi guys, so it's Grace Shield here, and today we're going to be reading the second chapter of The Night at Dawn, which is by Mary Pope Osborne, and it's a Magic Treehouse book. So if you have this, go ahead and get it out, and we can read the second chapter together. So the second chapter is Leaving Again. "No one's here," Annie shouted down. Jack thought about going home. Then he thought about all the books in the treehouse. He started up the ladder. When he was nearly to the treehouse, he saw a light in the distant sky. Dawn was starting to break. He crawled through a hole in the floor and took off his backpack. It was dark inside the treehouse. Annie was shining her flashlight on the books scattered about. "They're still here," she said. She stopped the light on a dinosaur book. It was a book that had taken them to the time of the dinosaurs. "Remember the Tyrannosaurus?" said Annie. Jack shuddered. Of course he remembered. How could anyone forget about seeing a live Tyrannosaurus Rex? The light fell on the book about Pennsylvania. A red silk bookmark snuck out of it. "Remember the picture of Frog Creek?" said Annie. "Of course," said Jack. "That was the picture that had brought them home." "There's my favorite," said Annie. The light was shining on a book about knights and castles. There was a blue leather bookmark in it. Annie turned to the page with the bookmark. There was a picture of a knight on a black horse. He was riding towards the castle. "Annie, close that book," said Jack. "I know what you're thinking." Annie pointed to the knight. "Don't, Annie!" "We wish we could see this guy for real," Annie said. "No, we don't!" shouted Jack. They heard a strange noise. Neigh! It sounded like a horse neighing. They both went to the window. Annie shined the flashlight down at the ground. "Oh no!" whispered Jack. "A knight?" said Annie. "A knight in shining armor, riding a black horse through the Frog Creek woods." The wind began to moan. The leaves began to tremble. It was happening again. "We're leaving," cried Annie. "Get down!" The wind moaned louder. The leaves shook harder. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Jack squeezed his eyes shut. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Jack opened his eyes. He shivered. The air was damp and cool. The sound of horses whining came from below. "Nay! I think we're here," whispered Annie. She was still holding the castle book. Jack peeked out of the window. A huge castle loomed out of the fog. He looked around. The treehouse was in a different oak tree. And below, the knight on the black horse was riding by. "We can't stay here," said Jack. "We have to go home and make a plan first." He picked up the book about Pennsylvania. He opened to the page with the red silk bookmark. He pointed to the photograph of the Frog Creek woods. "I wish—" "No," said Annie. She yanked the book away from him. "Let's stay. I want to visit the castle." "You're nuts. We have to examine the situation," said Jack. "From home." "Let's examine it here," said Annie. "Come on." He held out his hand. "Give it." Annie gave the book to Jack. "Okay, you can go. I'm staying." She clipped the flashlight to her belt. "Wait," said Jack. "I'm going to take a peek." "A teeny peek," she said, and scooted down the ladder. Jack groaned. Okay, she won. He couldn't leave without her. Besides, he sort of wanted to take a peek himself. He put down the book about Pennsylvania. He dropped the castle book into his backpack. He stepped onto the ladder and headed down into the cool, misty air.